That's why we call it Justus, because it's just us.
Avengers!
Though we still have a couple years to get there, with the release of the third Avengers film comes the twilight of Marvel's 3 phases. The following movies will be setting things up for Marvel's Phase 4, and many are left wondering, what's going on with the Avengers after that point? In this video, we'll explore where we are in the MCU's Phase 3 and explore some of the possible changes we could see in the lineup of Earth's mightiest heroes going into Phase 4. So welcome to the Justice League, and let's get to it. Well, it's not a secret that after Phase 3 is done, so is the lineup of the original Avengers. So let's take a look at the current lineup and walk through each member where they are in the grand story and try to figure out, will they still be in the Avengers come Phase 4. Now this was the lineup of the Avengers before the end of Phase 2. We all know Quicksilver died, Hawkeye retired, Thor returned to Asgard, and the Hulk went MIA, leaving this as the official lineup before Civil War. Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, War Machine, and the Vision. After the fallout, it looks something more like this. So let's run through each member and see where they end up. So starting off, Tony is here and he's not going anywhere. Like Roger said at the end of Civil War, Tony, the Avengers are yours. That's not too unlike the end of the Civil War in the comics, where Iron Man not only became the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he also rebuilt the Avengers as well after Cap was killed. So I do think Tony will be around at least until he passes the torch in the beginning of Phase 4. So let's get into the members that left with the breakup. After Civil War, Captain America is no more. That was the whole point of him dropping the shield at the end. Now many seem to think that he'll return as the Nomad character from the comics, but in all likeliness he's just going to be Steve Rogers. Although in a future movie, don't be surprised if one of them makes a reference to a nomad vigilante helping people all over the world. The Russo brothers have already came out and said that Steve Rogers will not be Captain America in the next Avengers movie. And since we know the Infinity War movies are pretty much going to be 2 separate stories, and Chris Evans only has 1 movie left on his contract, this means no Steve Rogers Cap for Phase 4. We know that after Civil War, Black Widow is now a fugitive for betraying the Accords to help Cap. We all saw how she evaded a Hydra-controlled shield, so this is going to be a walk in the park for her. She's a super spy, and when she's ready to be seen again, she will. You know she's going to be in Infinity War for one last ride, but after that, I do think it's just cameos from here on out. No main membership in the Avengers. Hawkeye is another fugitive under the Accords and also a super spy, so being on the run is not really going to be a big deal. However, the only reason he came out of retirement in the first place was to help Cap. So it's a really good chance that that was the last time we'll see him, although Renner does have 1 movie on his contract left. Now, there is a chance that he could show up in Avengers 3. Actually, there's a very good chance. But if that happens, there's an even better chance that he's going to die. At this point, the writing is on the wall. We all know that Thanos is going to kill Avengers. 1 or 2. Hawkeye is the heart of the team in a lot of respects. Plus, he dies in the comics. This makes all the sense. So if he comes back, there's a good chance he's out of there. Another fugitive under the Accords and another one of the MCU's big guns is Scarlet Witch, and she's definitely coming back to the Avengers and will be in the roster for Phase 4. When it's all said and done, right now she's probably running around with Cap A-Team style, but when the Infinity War breaks out, she'll be suiting up as one of Earth's mightiest heroes, and I do think she'll be a member in the Phase 4 Avengers. Personal opinion on this one, I feel like Rhodey should have died in Civil War, It's not that I don't like his character or anything, but I think his death would have added more weight on the Iron Man character in the story as a whole, like a real consequence and cause of the team splitting up. But that aside, I'm gonna say no on this one. I do expect to see Don Cheadle reprise the role as Rhodey. We may even see him in action as War Machine again, but Civil War was the last time we saw him as an Avenger. In his own words, I do what he does. Falcon referring to Captain America. These two are joined at the hip, so if Captain America is a vigilante, then so is Falcon. Meaning it's highly doubtful he's coming back as a mainstay in the Avengers. I know a lot of people wanted the movies to follow suit to the current run of the comics, where we see Falcon become the new Captain America, but I think it's a lot more likely in the case of Bucky that that's going to happen. I'm going to say yes for Avengers 3 role, but no for Phase 4 Avengers. Side note on Bucky being Cap. Sebastian Stan signed a 9-picture deal with Marvel, and Civil War was only the 3rd out of that contract, meaning he has 6 to go. There is a very good chance that we see him pick up the shield and the Captain America mantle, which also falls in line with the comics, so sweet. Finally, the Vision. Like Hawkeye, unfortunately the writing is on the wall with the Vision. We know Thanos is going to complete the gauntlet, and to do that he needs the Infinity Stone in Vision's head. This is also the thing that gives Vision life and makes him who he is, so he has to die. It makes all the sense. Thanos is going to kill some of the heroes. Vision, I hate it had to be you. I love you. So that's a no for Vision Phase 4 Avengers. Addressing those who left the team, next we move on to Thor. After receiving the vision of the Infinity Stones and Ragnarok, Thor decides it's time for him to return home for answers. And since he didn't return in the last movie, we can only assume that things ain't all good in Asgard. Now, if you know anything about Ragnarok, without spilling all the details, basically it boils down to the death of all the gods and the rebirth period. Pair that with the knowledge that this is going to be Loki's final appearance in the Marvel film so far, and that Thor Ragnarok is supposed to shake up Phase 3 in epic proportion, much like Winter Soldier did for the MCU in Phase 2, and that leads to one of 2 possible outcomes. Either Thor dies in the battle for Asgard, or he replaces Odin as the All-Father and thus must stay to protect the realm. Either way, it's highly doubtful that he comes back after Avengers Infinity War. The Hulk is more of a wild card, but now that we know that we're going to see him featured in Thor Ragnarok and that the movie will also serve as a mini Planet Hulk adaptation, the picture is a little bit more clear. Where he falls in the Avengers afterwards, like Thor, Hulk is one of the strongest beings in the MCU, so he is going to be needed against Thanos. However, when you think about how Black Widow served as an anchor of sorts to keep him calm like Betsy Ross, it's hard to see him rejoining the team unless it's the Dr. Banner persona, which would be cool, but it's very unlikely, so I'm gonna say no. Okay, getting into the new recruits. With the Black Panther, this one is a home run for new members. Not only because he's getting his own solo movie, but because the character has the most context to be an Avenger. He's already been established in Civil War. He agrees with the current workings of the Accords. Remember the state that the MCU is in right now. If you are operating as a hero of any kind, you have to comply to the Sokovia Accords and sign yourself over to the government. Wakanda was one of the first nations pushing for this act to pass, and T'Challa supported it. While it's unclear if he's going to get more than one solo movie, I think Black Panther is suiting up with the Phase 4 Avengers at least once. I think it's a pretty safe bet. Spider-Man, here's another no-brainer. Marvel is building a new Spider-Man franchise in partnership with Sony. Tony Stark is going to be in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie as a mentor to Peter. He gave him the suit for Civil War, and the last bit at the end was pretty much a welcome to the team message. No need to further explain Spider-Man Phase 4 Avengers, it's a yes. With Doctor Strange, this is another hero that Marvel is trying to build a franchise around, I believe, but I think Benedict Cumberbatch only signed a 3-picture deal. Now we know his solo film in Avengers 4 or Avengers Infinity War takes up 2 of those, leaving room for 1 more solo. While I do think we'll see him become an Avenger, I'm gonna say no for Phase 4. I just don't think that he's going to commit to that. The actor, I mean. Moving on to Ant-Man, though he was seen fighting beside Captain America, technically Ant-Man is not yet an Avenger. Paul Rudd said that he signed a 3++ deal, so that's most likely 3 films and an extended cameo in one of them, or one of the other movies as the 4th. So we know the 3 films are his debut movie, which already came out, his appearance in Civil War, and 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp, meaning we'll probably just get a cameo for Infinity War. He could always extend his contract, but right now with what we know, I'm gonna say no. Regarding the extended MCU, the shows, before we get into the last new member of the team, I just want to say that as much as we'd like to see it as nerds and as cool as it would be, don't expect to see any of the Netflix characters or Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. members in anything more than a cameo for the movies. We can rule out Quake, Mockingbird, Luke Cage, and Daredevil for Phase 4 rosters, even though they all become members of the Avengers at some point. Sad I know, but that's what we have the Defenders for. Lastly, we have Captain Marvel. Now, we don't know what her solo movie is going to be about yet, but you can bet she's going to be introduced in Avengers 3 or Avengers Infinity War. She was going to debut in Age of Ultron, but Whedon and Feige felt like the movie already had a hefty roster in adding Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver to the mix, so Miss Danvers was taken out. I do know that once Iron Man finally does bow out of the MCU, be it to death or retirement, someone is going to need to lead the Avengers, and all the signs are pointing to the new Captain on the Block, who was recently revealed to be played by Brie Larson. This will make the most sense as Captain Marvel has led the team in the comics, and she's a very powerful character. Can't wait to see how it all turns out. So there you have it, your all new Avengers for Phase 4. Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, and the new Captain America. Avengers Assemble. Okay guys, with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like what you are seeing, please subscribe, please thumbs up, and please share. As always, one or all of those things are greatly appreciated. If you would like to watch some of my other MCU related videos, you can check out my MCU breakdown in 5 minutes part 3 video, or you can check out my MCU Phase 3 Land of Enchantment video. And what do you think about my lineup for Phase 4 Avengers? Who do you think is going to be in the main lineup? Or better yet, who would you like to see? Let's talk about it in the comment section. Until next video, peace.